worlds where dreams collide. Sarah's voice, a gentle guide through the realms of time and space. She takes us to a sacred place.
I guess what I want to know is the people that have shifted energetically, do they still get sick? I mean, I'm just so confused because there's so many negative agendas right now. So many negative agendas. Is a sickness a sign that a person is falling into low feeling states, or like when person stops getting sick, have they shifted into this higher vibration? I just curious about this.
Yes, it's a great question, and there's sort of dual answers as always. Never, nothing is ever just one way. So there is a connection to the spiritual level that an individual's at and the protection that they can offer themselves by being at that higher frequency or vibrating at a higher energetic level. Even within their own mind, if they are able to better control their thoughts, they're better able to control their health. That absolutely exists. Now, there are individuals, many of you, who are being affected in so many ways by these people that have these agendas to cause harm and bring the population down to this 3D level. And that again is through the pollution of your water sources, of all the chemicals that are in your sphere, even on the clothing that you wear. um, all of those things affect you and create illness, and it really has nothing to do with your energetic place or spot at that time. Those really are very prolific, toxic, infiltrated type products that are in your system that you would have a really hard time blocking as you shift from the 3D to 4D space, we will say. But once you're very fully in 4D and making a transition to the 5D space, very few people get sick in the 5D space. That's not really something you see. You're able at that point, again, to control your mindset. You are able to understand how to purify your food sources. You are connecting to one another in a way that makes your immune system healthier. You're connecting with Mother Earth in a way that makes your immune system healthier. So as you make that shift, you will see a decrease in that sickness. But when we were talking about individuals that are putting their toe in the water and going into 3D, 4D, there is going to be a lot of illness as they figure out that vibrational set point, and the powers that be that are really working to poison the population do have a hold still at that point.
Okay, and so like the purpose of that for would be for people to realize that they could work on themselves mentally, like they could shift their thoughts. Is that basically what the whole purpose is? So there's, yes, there's these agenda, but you could control this with your thoughts and connect. Is that basically it?
Yeah, that is a big piece of it. And we've talked in the past about, blessing your food and how you're able to energetically change the composition of the food, how you're able to cleanse your water through power of intention. And it really is that piece of, becoming the master of your own mind. And then at that point, these outside influences aren't going to be able to manipulate, you to the degree that they have been. And at first, that may just be that you get the flu and you're a little bit less sick than you would have been at a time before you had, you know, worked some of this memory to build up a sort of more of a spiritual resolve. And as you become stronger and stronger, maybe you don't get the flu at all, and so it really is just strengthening almost like a muscle. And once you have that muscle developed, it again just gets stronger and stronger, and you will see a decrease in sickness and overall health issues.
I'm just curious for myself why it seems like it is every time I'm supposed to speak at one of these big conferences. My kids have like they're the sickest they've been all year. And like right now, like my youngest has like a major flu. Like he was throwing up last night and I leave tonight. Like it's just over and over again. And so obviously I worry like, oh my gosh, can I make it through this without getting sick? Like last year, I I was just fighting this sickness because my kids had their worst sickness all year, like right before I was supposed to leave. And I made it through the very last day with a little bit of my voice left. Like, what is happening? Am I not getting the message?
No, you are getting the message, and the message, that you are taking from this is to be even stronger. So there is a pull in that instance to, cuddle down in your own bed and, not go to the conference because you're really feeling unwell. And there's also a tug at your heartstrings to stay and be with your children who aren't feeling well either. But, you're able to mentally be strong enough to get through the conference, take that separation from family, knowing that you've put their needs, first in a way that you've set up supports to make sure that they're good while you're gone. But you are building this muscle strength that we're talking about because you are, still moving forward and accomplishing these energetic, goals. Because when you are in that room, you are shifting people's physical energy so greatly. And that itself takes a lot from you. But you are becoming stronger in those moments with your energy as allow yourself to still engage in that work, even though you're not feeling physically quite yourself. And so, eventually you'll find that those types of, we don't want to call them tests per se, but it's almost like we're putting these things in place to make you stronger. And eventually you're just going to be so strong that, those types of experiences fall away because you won't need them to build the muscle memory to where it is. It will already be so strong.
Mm. Okay, thank you for that. Um, so So going back to the question about like I guess part of the negative agenda is just trying to get people to be afraid of
Mhm.
like crossing over, like afraid of the other side, thinking that there's like a prison, this is a prison planet and stuff like that. Um, how do they go about trying to get us afraid? Is it because of our movies, with like a lot of death and destruction, or like what agenda have they come up with to like really get us in fear and program us to not believe that our soul will live on?
Well, fear is essentially a virus that entered the planet at a very early state and has just naturally been here. Now, people that are, wanting to repress the growth of humanity are very aware of this and do certain things that, build on that virus. And so when you're asking that question, one of the things that we can clearly point to is the isolation of individuals through technology. And so technology in many ways has connected people, but it's also kept people very isolated. So, you look on social media and maybe your life doesn't look as good as so and so, or you feel like you're not going to go out and socially engage with someone because you've engaged with their socials online. And there's more and more social isolation in your current climate and amongst humanity than we've ever seen in the past. And when you're socially isolated, that fear is able to take root even more deeply because you don't have another individual in the room to sort of check you and say, wait, 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 like let's talk this out, or your mind is spiraling. Let's get together and have a conversation and help settle some of those emotions. And so people are really spiraling out of control emotionally and mentally. They watch things online, they look at, the news channels, the geopolitical climate, you know, things that are true, like the pollution of your planet, and people can get really in their heads about that. And there's fewer and fewer subsets of groups where they are connected enough with someone else, again, that can sort of balance that energy and have them settle some of that chaotic mind space. And so that has been, this technology piece has been a really prolific help to these people in power in spreading that fear via that pathway.
Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for that. I just have a few more questions. Does the human circadian rhythm match more with Mars or with Earth?
So what I'm seeing now, what we're showing Crystal, is that there is a almost like wavy wavelength between Mars and Earth. And so it's not separate. It's not a separate, it's not Earth-based or Mars-based. It's sort of something, an energetic flow between those two planets. So you're connecting in the in-between state, I guess we would say, the sort of energetic pull between these two planets. You're connecting, the rhythm is tied to the tether of planet Earth and planet Mars.
Okay. So are humans, um, like, I guess, are they more tied to Mars than they would be to Earth, I guess? Or no?
What we're showing is that it's not one or the other.
Oh,
It's
okay.
connected to both. And so those, just as all your planetary, all planetary systems and your own system, has connections to Earth, there is, when you speak of the circadian rhythm, that is tied to the tether or connection between Mars and Earth. So you've got that piece right. But again, it's not one or the other. It really is that piece of energy that tethers and connects those two planets together.
Okay. Do people, when they talk about memories of living on Mars, is that true? Do they really have memories of living on Mars? I mean, did people actually leave Mars because it got destroyed and came to Earth? Is that piece correct?
There are individuals that did live on Mars, and some came to Earth, some went to the other side, some went to, other planetary systems. But people that do have past lives and remember, lifetime on Mars, that is very likely and very possible because, yes, there are individuals that did live there. There are still individuals that live there. They just live differently than, some of your clients would have in past lives, but they're hidden, and there still are people that are living on planet Mars, and there will be more people that live on planet Mars in the future. So absolutely, if you have someone that has been regressed and is remembering a life there, yes, that is quite possible.
Are there other versions of Mars, like a more ascended version where Mars is the same? Is that correct? Like, is
That
there,
is.
okay, so what is that? What does that look like? Like, what, or did they just move into like a 5D Mars?
It's essentially the same thing that is happening with your Earth planet. So this 3D version is not going to not exist. It's still going to be there, but this 5D version is going to be layered on top of that. So again, it's really just where you're energetically going to be placed and where you align. And so there are people that are on a planet Mars that functions beautifully, and there isn't a lack of resources, and there isn't a need to transition to a different planet because they don't have their needs met. They do. They're fully in, the planet is, in its most beautiful state, I guess we could say.
So, okay, my question is, when we are fully a 5D physical, the Earth is so beautiful and vibrant again here, will we see Mars as vibrant and beautiful, or is this just the trajectory of planets that they just go through their life cycle, the beings on them kind of evolve, and then, uh,
Oh,
the, or is it not like that?
so your energetic alignments, connect with each other. So you being in that 5D space, you naturally are going to align and connect with the other planets that are in their 5D space. So you will be able to see each other in that state because there really is no other way. You're both vibrating at that frequency now. So in that 5D space, you see those other individuals on that planet and that planet in its 5D space.
No, okay. That's so cool. Okay. Thank you for all these answering all these questions.
Our pleasure.
Okay. Um, do fairies communicate with each other in distance? Like, can fairies just like one fairy communicate to another like far away? I've always been curious about that.
The fairies have a really beautiful energetic connection and they're able to telepathically communicate, but then at a distance, it almost is like they have a little beacon. Like you can see, like they almost have a little satellite above them saying, like, I'm flashing and I need, help, or I need you to connect with me on this. And the way that their little beacon shows up, it changes in color. And so this beacon puts out a signal to other fairies, for whatever purpose. It's like I want to connect on this. And their beacons almost like energetically reach out and see in quotations one another. And then they're able to connect and, have this again telepathic connection. But from a distance, it initially starts with almost this energetic beacon and energy that they sort of shoot out to connect them to other fairies that might be at a greater distance. Um,
Thanks.
Yes,
Thank you for that. Do fairies and Sasquatch communicate or no?
they are aware of each other. They don't have a lot of day-to-day communication with one another, but they are aware of each other's presence, and there is a respect between the two of them. But they aren't, on a path that they're both like going about their days, unilaterally united in a shared purpose necessarily, but they're aware of one another and respectful of each other's energies.
That is so interesting. Um, okay. All right. It's like 1,000 questions. I'll try to narrow it down. Okay. Is is there like a miracle bark that someone could eat that would just like if they eat bark of a tree and it would heal their whole body? Is that correct? Is there something like that?
There's bark that has medicinal properties, but we wouldn't recommend eating it per se. You could chew on it, but really a lot of beneficial properties are obtained when you take this bark off the tree and boil it and then drink the water almost like a tincture or just like a tea.